The key for me in any results-driven program is long-term success. We see all too often people shoot out the gun too quick and maybe get things wrong because they're too aggressive early doors and they can't sustain those results. But I also see people at the other end of the scale quite often that are too laid back about results and they're expecting too long a period and they're not willing to be as aggressive enough at the start to get the results. So a diagram that we've created here at RM Fitness, this is actually called an informational graphic, and it's a way to get information across. And this is something that's it's 16 years worth of work here on this piece of paper. We've obviously developed it quite recently. Now, the title Modus Vivendi is a Latin saying, and it kind of relates to lifestyle or approach, rule of thumb, process, way of living. Now, the key thing for me is that if used properly, this diagram can portray to people how to keep on track over the long run. So let me break it down for you. Down here at the bottom end on the left hand side, you've got somebody, and we're describing that person as putting in less than 50% effort, which I'm going to explain to you what that means shortly. And at this top end, this is somebody who's putting in a 90% plus effort, and then we've got 80% and 60 to 70%. Obviously it's only a rough guideline. Now, at different times of the year, you can be at different points on this diagram. So, let's look at 90% first. This might be someone on a 12-week challenge, or somebody that's really, really motivated, on a health kick, somebody in January, for example, that wants to absolutely put everything in. Now, training is optimal, so they might be training 3, 4, 5 days a week. Their nutrition or their diet will be very, very strict. And their results are what we would describe as being optimal, as in they're getting fast results. Let's look at someone at the other end of the scale that's less than 50% on this informational graphic. So this is somebody who's training very low, so that might be once a week or not even training at all. And the diet, we've described that as being very relaxed. Somebody at 80% is making steady progress, so their training is high, but obviously not quite as high as the person here who's up at 90%. And the diet is described as being strict, but it's not very strict. Someone who's 60 to 70% is sort of training moderate, 2 to 3 days a week, and the diet's relaxed, but again, it's not very relaxed. Now, what these percents actually mean, when you're at less than 50% here, you're regressing, so you're going backwards. That might be a period over Christmas, that might be the summer sort of period where people tend to go backwards because they're not training very much and the diets tend to be quite relaxed. And up at this end, this is, like we said, optimal progression. So this is somebody that has got the diet sorted and has got the nutrition sorted, and they're moving forward as fast as they can move forward. 80% is interesting because that's steady progress or steady progression. So that's somebody that is moving forward at a steady rate. They're just not going forward quite as fast as this person, and then obviously this person's moving backwards. And then you get the 60 to 70%, and that's where you're maintaining. So you're not moving forward steadily, you're not moving forward optimally, but you're not moving backwards, you're just standing still. Now, we've put this diagram together to indicate that at certain times of the year, I feel, over my experience, that you should be at different points. So if we look at 50%, I personally will be relaxing on my diet over Christmas, and I relax slightly at other certain times in the year, like over the summer. So we recommend maybe 1 week of the year might be spent in this kind of 50% area. So like we say, that might be enjoying a few days off over Christmas and then a few days off over the summer where you're going to barbecues and things like this. Then if we skip up to 90% and we look at 12 to 16 weeks of the year might be spent giving it this level of commitment. So it's impossible to spend obviously all 52 weeks a year at working at 90%. That just isn't realistic for 99% of people. So this might be, say, before a holiday, or whether you're doing one of our 12-week challenges or something like that. We feel that you can spend most of the year in this 80% area, so you're making steady progress with both of your training and your body composition. And we've put as an indicator there between 30 and 36 weeks of the year spent in this area. And this might be in between challenges. You know, you're pretty pumped up, you're pretty focused, but you're just not fully in the zone. I would say most of our members, most of the year, tend to be in this area. And then you've got your 70%, which might be in between periods where you're pushing hard. So I'll tell you a good example for this time of year. In fact, I'm going to give you an example of the whole thing. So let's just say you've done a 12-week challenge, you've pushed really hard leading up to Christmas so you feel good over Christmas, and you've been at 90%. Then you're going to spend a few days in and out, around this area. Then you're going to spend like a few days, maybe a week or so, that completely relaxed, and you accept that you're going to be going backwards. And then you might be ready then in January to come back and push hard again and give it 90% for 12 weeks and improve further. Then you might have a few weeks then before, well, a couple of months before a holiday, something like that. So you're talking like April, May, June sort of months. You might say, I want to make steady progress. And then maybe the month before your holiday, you've got a load on at work, etc., etc., and you might just feel, well, I just want to maintain and not go backwards. Then you go on holiday, and obviously, again, you're going to have some time away from your diet, so you are going to go backwards when you come back, and then you might push again. And for me, it's just, this is something we've not been able to put into words or into a diagram for, like I say, for the 16 years I've worked with people. I've never been a trainer to expect 100% compliance on nutrition and, kind of intensive training methods all the time. I've never asked people to be in this category all the time. I don't like working with people, or I will not work with people in this category either. If they're not training enough and eating properly, then sadly I won't work with people like that. And I accept that the people I want to work with are going to push into this area for certain weeks in the year. They're going to be in this area for certain weeks of the year, and they're going to be in this area for certain weeks of the year, and a little bit of this. And I accept that, and I feel that that's my ideal clientele. I feel that everybody can get really good results like that and move forward. So I hope this informational diagram has helped you understand how to get long-term results.